jump right in.
Great.
Okay. So, I have a lot to say on this game. That's one reason why I wanted to do it. Also, I watched the whole game and took notes, so it makes sense. Um, Tell me what you think about these lineups. I noticed you went physical damage for your build. What do you think your team lacks when you look at the heroes you have?
Frontlining and catch, I felt like. Well,
Yeah,
catch not that much with Lion, but like frontlining and damage soaking.
yeah, I agree. Catch, you were definitely the catch this game. Lion can do it later, but until he has a blink, it's you.
Hmm.
Frontlining, yes, there's a little bit of a lack of that. But Sven can kind of do it, especially because your team has so many stuns and so much disable. The way I see it, I look at their lineup. I see a Tombstone. I see Gyrocopter, Flat Cannon, Call Down. I see Sandstorm, Epicenter. I see Venomancer Wards. I see Clinks, Summons. So they have a lineup that once they set up in an area, it is impossible to fight them. You can't do it. It's way too hard. And you guys don't have any summon units that could go clear out their stuff. So in a game like this, I think what you guys should do is lean on your mobility. Because if you split the map and get pickoffs, suddenly they're not so strong. But if they're just rolling together as a 5-unit ball, I don't see how you could ever fight them without a gigantic lead. Which you had in the early game. So it actually worked for you at first because of that. So as far as damage on your team, Sven does a lot of physical damage, and actually Lina does too. Lina obviously has magic damage. So when I'm looking at this, I would probably go a magic damage Ember build, just because typically Lina builds right click. Now I did see this Lina did not. She went more of a magic oriented build. So I think it worked out, and you guys had a pretty balanced damage. I don't know if that was something you and her talked about, or if that was just a coincidence.
No, the Lina and Lion were randoms. I don't know them. It was
Yeah.
just Grim, Sven, and me who were in TeamSpeak. We were also a bit annoyed by the Lina position 3 pick.
Yeah.
But my idea was that I use the Deso to amplify Sven's and Lina's damage, especially since the enemies have rather low armor heroes. That's
Yes.
what I thought.
And I agree with you there, because when you got the Deso, I thought, you know what? That makes sense, because like you said, the enemy is all low armor. But okay, so that's kind of nitpicky. The other thing I was thinking is at the start of this game, if I were you, I would not have gone for this bounty rune, because you probably knew Clinks was mid, and if Clinks blocked his lane and you got the bounty rune, you're instantly losing the lane, because it's on his hill,
Okay.
right? So for me, my priority would be, I want to make sure I block my creeps. Now, and it ended up working, because Clinks did not block his lane. But that...
Yeah, this is...
Go ahead.
This is something that I always struggle to decide whether it's worthwhile in that matchup to block the lane better or to just secure the other bounty rune.
Gotcha. It can be a hard decision to make. To me, because another consideration is, does the enemy team have heroes that can contest your bottom bounties? This game, yeah, they kind
I
of...
thought so, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of do, but Lina and Lion have 2 stuns, so I think they're fine, because they have so much
Oh,
disable.
okay. That's true, yeah.
Yeah, but to me, the bigger question for you is, what's going to screw your game harder? Losing badly the first creep wave, or losing 1 bounty rune? It's the
Yeah,
creep wave,
see.
right? So,
Yeah.
as a mid player, I think that's the calculation you have to make.
Okay.
Immediately, I thought it was kind of weird. So you went for Flame Guard. The bonus is you got to zone him out like that for the first creep
Yeah,
wave.
I wanted to double wave him.
Yep, and you push him into tower. Now, he can farm under tower, so he's really fine with this. You know, if it were a different hero, I think that would have been more effective. But with Searing Arrows, I don't think it's that hard for him to last hit on his tower. The other problem is with Flame Guard, it does absolutely nothing against all of his damage. So if you wanted to take, let's say, the first level in Flame Guard to push into him, and then leave it level 1, I think that's acceptable. But you ended up skilling it, and I think that was kind of an issue.
Okay.
Almost lost your courier, which was kind of funny. I thought it was
Yeah.
I thought it was dead, but it actually made it.
Yeah, my heart was beating fast at that second.
So lane's kind of going fine. You're both trading farm. I thought you played the lane well, and you definitely won the lane. So
Yeah, I kinda thought he played it badly. He hit me way too less, I had the feeling.
yeah, so
I was a bit afraid of the matchup and went straight for the armor for the face boots.
and I think that was
I was quite afraid.
I think that was very smart. However, I believe there was one item you should have gotten before you got that chainmail. Any guess
Okay.
what it is?
No.
Bottle. I think your
Okay.
bottle should have come first, and you'll see why.
Okay.
It will not be immediately obvious, but as the lane goes on, you will see exactly why.
Hmm.
I also think it would have been worth it to eat your first branch. You ended up, when your first tango ended, you were at like 5. I could go back, but take my word for it. You were at like almost 600 HP, and it was out of regen already, and you have the cooldown on the pooled tango. So
Ah,
I
okay.
think eating that first branch is way better than having the +1 doll stats.
Hmm.
Really minor thing, but again, you will see why it matters when this tango ends. Because you're already missing like 200 health from not doing that. So you would be almost full right now. And then this tango is about to end, and you're going to see why it mattered so much. So still kind of farming. Heartbreaking deny. You played it well. Okay, so here's what I don't like about that. Look at your health and mana.
Yeah, stuff.
You're bringing a salve, but you're still going to be out of mana. You could already have a bottle, in which case that trade would have been very good for you. Because look, you've pushed at the right time. In 21 seconds, the first rune will spawn. So you could empty your bottle. You would be full mana, full health right now. He's going to pop his salve. He'll be fine. But you would have taken out his regen, and you would have had a chance to refill your bottle. So that next time you do that, now he has to buy more regen. But instead, you kind of trade. He's got the regen, you don't. And it's going to impact your lane. So, okay, you see you pushed the runes in 7 seconds. This is perfect play if you had a bottle and you got the rune. Instead, you go here and stack the camp, which is okay, good. You know, that's a good use of your time, but it is suboptimal because a bottle and getting the rune would have been way better. Especially, you already have a rune ward, right? So you're basically guaranteed the rune if you push and you just go get it, which you did the first part.
Usually I pretty much rush the bottle, but here I felt I need the armor from Wraithband and chainmail, but you're true that probably the mitigation I get would have been balanced by the bottle here, so...
Yep, and your thinking was correct, because the chainmail was a great purchase. Phase boots, I think, was exactly how you should have played this game. You should get the bottle first. That's all. The other thing is, I didn't mention this, but this ward that you placed, I actually don't like it, simply because when you're against a mid hero where they will probably drop a sentry in the lane, so any hero with invis, TA, when she hits 6, guarantee you it's going to be a sentry battle to control the traps in the mid lane. This ward will get accidentally dewarded when they ward, like, I don't know if you can see
in the middle of the river, yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah, good point.
against situations like that, this same ward just further down to the right is great. But here it's at risk of getting dewarded. Now, it didn't happen, but it can.
Yeah, what also came to my mind, whether that's actually worthwhile to do. So sometimes, depending on my hero, whether it can be punished or not, I go to like the trees to spot the ward just at the beginning before the wave even spawns. If you know what I mean?
So you mean like warding up here instead?
No, I mean trying to de-ward their ward by scouting it, going into range of the tower, but behind the trees to scout for
Gotcha.
their ward. And then I thought, isn't it maybe even more worthwhile to just buy 2 sentries at the start of the game, put them so that you cover all the area where the ward could be and you get it? I mean, it balances the goal probably.
It's definitely not worth it, because a lot of mid players, you're right, a lot of times they place the ward before the lane starts. Sometimes they don't. So imagine you bought 1 sentry, even worse 2, the guy shows up to the lane and he has an observer in his backpack. You literally just lost the lane. Like he's going to do, I don't know, 3 to 5 points more damage than you will because he didn't buy sentries, and then the lane's really hard.
I mean in principle when I don't start with scouting the ward, and instead of trying to scout the ward, I just get 2 sentries then after like a minute or something like this, and when the observer is already placed and I can't scout it.
I
That's
see.
what I mean.
Well,
That's worthwhile.
if you're gonna do that, I would recommend doing something like when the nighttime hits, which is about to happen. The creeps will lose sight of you on high ground, so you can like walk up just to the high ground, aggro the clinks, and then see if his creeps come to attack you. If they do, he has high ground vision of you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you can kind of like use the process of elimination there, but generally speaking, you really should not be buying a sentry here. I mean, if his vision is causing you problems and your support won't do it, then of course do it. But as you get better, something I do on support every single game about this time where the next ward gets placed mid, I buy a sentry, I drop it in base, and I tell you that I did it. So I would have you pick it up with your courier, and you take it to yourself and use it.
Oh, okay.
So that's something your support should be doing. And I think you were friends with the Grim this game. So
Yes.
feel free to ask him. You know, like, hey, can you buy a sentry and drop it in base for me? That's the way to go. And even if he's not your friend, I think most supports will do that for you. Some guys will just say, yeah, fuck off, whatever. Like, you can't do anything there. But okay, let's go back a little bit. Let's go to like just 15 seconds back. A little bit more. Okay. So you end up healing. You get mana for Flame Guard, which is level 2, and you pop Flame Guard and push. Was there any particular reason you chose to push the lane at this time?
At this time, I think I just wanted to harass him a little bit. Was my idea.
Okay. Then you accidentally made a very good play. The reason you push right now is because in 9 seconds the bounty rune spawns. So you want to be able to push and go get the bounty without penalty of missing creeps in your lane. Whereas,
Yeah.
so what happens here, you're still pushing, kind of harassing, okay, fine. Alright, so bounty spawns. At this point, I would look top. I look top, I see nobody there. That probably means they're at this bounty. This guy's actually jungling. Oh my god, he jungled and went Midas. I didn't even realize that. I saw he went Midas, but I just thought he was off laning because I wasn't watching him. That's funny. But I would look top and I would see the fact...
Too much game leap, I guess.
Maybe. Maybe not enough, I don't know. But so I would look top and see that no one's top, which means this bounty is not safe. But you can still get this one. And again, if you had your bottle already, this is exactly what you would want to do. You would push the lane exactly like you did. You would get this bounty, fill your bottle, come back. Clinks is going to be low. He's still low. He's got to buy more regen. I think he is already. No, it's going home. And you beat him through attrition. Right? I don't know if you know that word, attrition. Yeah, that's how you beat Clinks in this lane. You can't fight him heads up, but you just keep chipping him down. And so I personally would not have gone Flame Guard. I would have gone Sleight of Fist and Searing Chains, because you just fist him over and over. You fist him repeatedly, and then you hit him with chains when it's up, and he has to do something about that. So, you know, maybe he buys a bunch of salves, maybe he gets a bottle. It pushes him out of the lane, and I think that's how you win this lane. But okay, so you push, the bounties are up. He chases you. Again, you bring a salve, but you still have mana problems, and this is like, I think your fourth salve? It's your third for sure.
Yeah, I needed a lot of salves.
Yeah, it might have been your fourth. It's definitely your third at least. That's halfway to a bottle. You know, you're already halfway there.
I bought boots before a bottle. I didn't notice that.
Yep.
I think at some point I accidentally cleared the bottle out of my quick buy, and then I kind of forgot about it.
Maybe. I didn't catch that if you did. Let me check my
There's
notes.
stuff like this also often when I like play some more roaming orientated, early game roaming orientated mids like Quast Vex or Kunka, and I don't need the stick in lane, then I somehow completely forget to buy a wand once I start roaming.
Gotcha. Yeah, so maybe that's just something where you make a mental note to yourself every game. Do I need wand? Do I need bottle? Did I buy my wand? Did I buy my bottle? You know what I mean? Because I think you're plenty smart to figure out if you're supposed to get it if you just consciously think about it. So I think the key is getting that routine of it always going through your head. Because once you think about it, I'm confident you'll make the right decision. But so, let's see. I'm just checking my notes here. One of the big problems with you not having this bottle is that you're about to hit level 6. And what happens at level 6 typically?
I get kill potential.
Yes, you can kill. Are you
If
going to
I
kill
have
him with
ammo.
37 mana?
Nope.
Never going to happen. And if you're wondering, like, why won't my noob supports gank my lane? Well, if I'm your noob support and I'm looking at you, I'm like, I'm not ganking for this guy. Like, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
He's going to watch me stun him and then Cleats will walk away. Shit, maybe I'll die, you know? So it's, I think you'll find that if you're in a position where a support can roam and kill for you, they are more likely to do it without you even telling them. Because they're going to look and see and like, oh, okay, I can gank this lane. Another thing I wanted to talk about, looking at your lineup, you have a traditional hard carry, Sven. He can definitely carry the game. So what does that mean for you as the mid laner? What is your role?
To secure his farm in the mid game.
Yes, your job is to control the map while he farms. Exactly. Bottle is the #1 item to do that from the mid lane. So even if you didn't need it for the lane, you correctly understanding your role in this game means you should get a bottle. Okay. Make sense?
Yeah.
Because then you can just hold a rune and choose when to gank, you know? But okay, so again, if you had bottle, you could have pushed right here because you'd have the mana, and then you could get the 6-minute rune without him having any chance. Or if he wants to fight you for it, he misses farm and XP. So it's a win-win.
Now that my boots came was the point where I realized that I deleted the bottle from a quick buy and put it back on.
Yeah.
That was so bad.
And you can see it's really making this lane difficult. I think your mechanics were better than him. It's just you didn't have the item you needed to enable your game. And another consequence of this, without the bottle, you can't push. And the thing about Clinks is if you push into him, he can farm under his tower, but he cannot quickly kill the creeps. So you hold him hostage on his tower, and that means every time you do that, you have a potential gank. Because if you gank when he's not pushed, he'll kill your tower. But if you push him into his tower, he cannot kill your creeps fast enough. You have like a 30-second window to go gank wherever you think the gank's most successful. And if you have bottle, that's enabling all of that. So I think a big issue with this game is just you not having the right item, and it caused a big issue. I mean, it really prevented you from taking over this game like you could have. The other thing is, if you're going to be roaming around the map, you don't have bullets.
I need chains. Yeah,
Yeah.
I noticed that too.
However, if you look bottom, they have so much disable, it would actually be okay. You don't need chains to gank this lane. But this lane, you definitely do. So, something to consider. Another thing to think about, if you do gank top Sven's lane, odds are his team being the Sand King's team, they might TP top, and Sven does not want that, right? He doesn't want a bunch of people up there. So I would not gank his lane unless I knew this is almost a guaranteed quick kill, and it's like up here, not down by his tower. If it's down here, you're going to get killed. They're going to TP and kill you. But if it's up here and it's quick and there's already a sentry, this would be an opportunity. Otherwise, I wouldn't mess with it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even consider ganking top because I thought he would just push out the wave and then farm side camps anyway.
Right, and that's, I believe you're correct to make that assessment. Here you can see another issue with the bottle. So because your bottle came so late, you didn't have an opportunity to roam, so you took this camp instead. Look what Clinks did while you were farming that camp.
Yeah, I should have counter ganked there, I think.
Yeah, you could have been here to kill this Clinks.
That was quite fast.
And instead, you lost 2 in this lane. You pushed it, but it didn't do much tower damage. He comes back, and he actually just did what you should be doing. And it's all back to this bottle. And what really got me is let's watch you during this time. So you push the lane because he's gone. This is 100% correct. You have a ward here. So you see it's 8 minutes. The rune's not here, so the rune's here. You went back to that jungle camp again.
Oh yeah, forgot about the rune here.
Yep. Now, if you are the actual carry, let's say you're a TA and your hard carry is not something like Sven, this would probably be an okay move. But because you are the pace setter, your priority is not to hit this camp. This camp really does not matter for you. What matters is you killing the enemy. That is what will win you this game, not stacking this camp and farming it.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I just got it like as a just standard way for me to play was always to stack at like 7 minutes so I can get the double camp to get the neutral items as fast as possible.
and
I think there we didn't have neutral, so I went for it. But you're right, it's a mistake here. I think since Sven, it's like Sven's job in this game.
yeah,
To get
and
neutral items probably.
and stacking the camp in anticipation that 7 minutes means the first round of neutral items. That is a very smart play that a lot of people, you know, I'm about 5k right now. I'm about 5.1. People don't even do that where I am. So that's a very smart thing to do. And I'm totally fine with you stacking the camp. But you can always farm it later. You know, farming this camp should be, I have literally nothing better to do. So I'm just going to farm the camp right now. You know, it's your last priority. And then, okay, so this kill attempt I wanted to talk about too. So he barely wins, you buy back. He barely lives, you chase him. No problem. Good kill. However, let's go back to the start of it.
Oh, I think I know what's coming. Tanking creeps probably.
Okay.
Is
You
it
back
that?
you'll I'll get there. So you back off and I guarantee you're already thinking, I have a DD, I'm going to kill this Clinks. I guarantee you are already thinking that.
I was looking for that opportunity since I had the rune, yeah.
Yeah, so let's take a
But
look
too
at
low mana.
exactly. You don't have the mana, so why not right here on this high ground, pop your DD, pop 1 or 2 bottle charges for the mana. Stay out of his vision up here. You're getting mana. He comes up to farm. You can triple remnant right on top of him, and just blow him up instantly. Now the problem with that,
good point.
he could react with skeleton walk. So what you're missing is actually dust of appearance. If you have dust, you don't have to go for this type of kill. You can do what I talked about, which is way lower risk, way higher rate of success. You wouldn't have died. You wouldn't have to buy back. And there's also no potential for them to TP, because this fight takes like 10 seconds and nobody came because people are just, I don't know, they're just not paying attention. But if you were up here and you triple remnant, instantly get on top of him, pop your dust, there's no counterplay potential. He's dead in like 2 seconds and you're out of there. And you're not going to die to him. So that, I think, would have been the right play.
Yeah, good point.
You salvaged it, so not a disaster. You know, could have been better, but it was okay. Let me check my notes again. What's the next big thing? Let's see. Yeah, so I talked about your jungling, your missing runes. Triple remnant, we talked about that. Talked about buying dust. Okay. My next note is about 18 minutes in, so I'm just going to skip ahead to that. Okay, so this is more of a small thing, but you guys are making aggressive plays here. At this point in the game, you have a big lead, so I like this play. You're also in the right part of the map, because I think you guys recently pushed this tower, so then the next logical step, you take over their jungle, and that helps you pressure their mid tier 1, which is your next tower to take. So you're in the correct place of the map, and you'll find that when you're where you're supposed to be, good things just happen. You don't even have to really do anything. But my issue here is this remnant right here. That's your last remnant, right? And if we go back, I'm on 2 times speed. Let's watch this normal time. Okay, so you kill that guy. Next remnant, chase him. Okay, fine with it. Let's watch your cooldowns. Okay. In 3 seconds, you can slight bolus him, right? Yes, you're slowed, but he's not going to get that far away. And you only have 1 remnant left. So the lesson here, is that if you only have one remnant and you use it to commit, expect to die. So
Okay.
if the calculation is it's okay if I die, then go ahead and do it. But I think it's much better just wait. Okay, so you remnant here.
Popping drums and
Yeah, you don't
isn't
even need
quite
to
sure.
drums. You don't even need to, because look, where you are right now, your spells are up. You can hit them from here.
Hmm.
But instead you use your last remnant. Maybe because the ink swell. But even then, you didn't even remnant on top of him. So you're missing the ink swell value anyway. And then you end up doing what you could have done without using the remnant to begin with. Right? You slight chains. No remnant necessary. So then now what happens? Clinks, he kills you. And as a mid player, probably the worst thing that can ever happen is the enemy mid kills you. Right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, we already talked about you're the tempo setter for this game. So if you die, that means that for your respawn, the enemy team has no pressure on them, because it's your job to do it. And if you're dead, that potential is gone. Other problem,
Yeah, and that was also the dieback.
exactly, you're extra dead from the buyback, so it's like an extra bad death. So that's just something to consider. The priority is, even if, let's say, Venno lives, but you also live, that's still better than you dying for the Venno. It's okay, fight breaks out, whatever. I'm really not too worried about that. Let's go back to the notes here.
I was also really not sure about my itemization in this game, because I had the feeling they have so much damage, which is mixed physical and magical, that I was not quite sure what to buy.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about that too. Since you're asking, let's just jump into it now. The Desolator, I understand that we had talked about it. Deso's a good item this game. I don't think it needs to be your first item, though, because you don't really need it to get kills in this stage of the game. Damage is not your problem. You've got the damage just by your spells and being high level. You're actually very high level for this time in the game. So damage, you've got it under control. What you don't have is sustain for the fights. What you don't have is a frontliner. I think drums was a very good... I was actually very proud of you for buying drums, because I think that was the absolute best item to buy. Because it
considered Yules then, but
yes, so I think
sure.
Yules is decent because it gives you better catch. You can stall. If Clinks goes on you guys and you're killing someone else, you can just Yules the Clinks. So in a way, that increases your survivability, because that's 2.5 seconds. He pops strafe, you Yules him. His damage just got cucked. You know, so that is actually a decent way, and it's going to solve your Venomancer problem with the Gale, and it's going to solve your Orchid problem once Clinks gets his Orchid. So I think Yules would have been very good. About the only other option would be like Guardian Greaves, which I think would have been stupid. So I don't think that was the choice. And then another choice would have been Manta Style, which I think would have been decent, because Yasha would accomplish the same thing as your drums. I would still get the drums, but maybe you could skip it if you're going Manta instead. However, if you got drums and then Yasha, you're super fast, your catch is good, it's going to increase your damage, it'll increase your farm rate, and it sets you up to get the Manta Style. And then Manta gives you the Dispel you need this game. So, probably best is Yules. I think Manta is acceptable.
To be honest, I never thought about Manta on Ember before.
Yeah, it's a... I wouldn't say it's common, but people do it in games where they need a Dispel and they don't want to get a Yules. So usually they get the Yules, but Manta will obviously scale much better. So it's kind of a judgment call. Obviously, Yules you get twice as fast as you would a Manta style as well. And the other thing is, if you get a Manta, typically that indicates you're going the Radiance build. Like, that's usually when you see it. So typically they get the Radiance first, because if you get Radiance, but it's not your first item, it's way less effective. Then they get the Manta. If you go Manta first, probably don't want to get the Radiance, but you'll still scale because you're an agility hero. So it's a fine thing to buy. But yeah, I think, again, you're thinking about the things you should be thinking about. I just think you're not always getting to the right solution. That's just going to come with more experience. The other
would be your... Oh, sorry, go
go,
ahead.
no, it's your lesson. What would I do?
Okay. I was also considering right after drums before the Deso to just rush a Lotus Orb, but somehow I was not quite sure. It's like, it's exactly what I want, a D-spell without putting me out of the game for 3 seconds, but it's just like way more expensive, so I was I was considering it, but I don't know whether it's a good item to rush after drums or not in this game.
This is a good game for Lotus, but I think it's not good on you because
Okay.
it's such a heavy investment and it really gives you no damage or kill potential at all. It's a sustain item. And if you're going to do that, again, I think Yule's is the best option because it's way cheaper. It gives you mana regen. I mean, it's a good item, And we talked about
Yeah.
you can throw the clinks up if nothing else too. So Yule's was probably the best solution here. Lotus is great this game. It's just not your job to get the Lotus. It really would be your offlaner or your 4. And I think your 4 was Lion. He didn't get it. Your offlaner's Lena, which is already kind of off, so to speak. And she's probably not going to get a Lotus Orb. So it was more of a draft issue because Sven is the only one that would kind of make sense to get a Lotus, and it would be super bad for him to do that, like really bad.
Yeah.
So it's just the problem was the draft. You didn't have a true offlane hero, and you have to sort of figure out a way to play around that. So
Yeah.
because of that, I think this isn't a Lotus game just because you're
Try
offlaner.
to compensate for that just by buying Deso for damage amplification, then Lotus Orb and AC for our survivability.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was the right thing to do or not, to try to compensate the lack of an offlaner on a Ember mid, actually. But
yeah, and it's almost like he's not doing his job. So you're like, okay, well, someone needs to do his job. I guess that's me. But the thing is, you can't do his job. So it actually sabotages both of you to try to compensate for what he should be doing because you just can't do it.
yeah.
So if he's not doing it, you trying to do it for him, it only makes it worse. Like now you both are not doing your jobs, So
Yeah.
it's what is it? The sunk cost fallacy. You just have to accept that is a loss, and there's nothing you can do to make that up. And trying to just digs you deeper.
At some point, I'd even considered getting an Halberd after BKB.
I actually considered that too, and I came to the same conclusion that Halberd is just really shitty on you.
Because what killed us in the end was more like Venus damage, not actually.
It's the combination of the Veno damage, the flat cannon, and the tombstone. And I'll show you later. You will see why the tombstone was so good this game, but I don't want to spoil it. Let's wait for that. I want to go back a little bit more on this fight because there's one other thing I want to talk about. So we talked about your death here is very bad because you are key to the pressure in this game. The other thing is, did you feel like you had a pretty big lead at this part of the game?
No.
You did not. Okay.
No.
I felt like you guys were winning by quite a bit. Look at the levels here. You're 3 levels higher than anybody else in the game.
Yeah.
So net worth, you're only up 1k. But if we look at the experience, it's over 4,000.
Yeah.
So you guys actually did have a big advantage here, and it was due to the XP. So when you have a lead, and I guess it's not the best example because you were not cognizant that you had the lead. But when you have, I knew it. I could feel playing this game. I mean, you make an aggressive move like this, it's not them doing it to you on your side of the map. You're doing it to them on their side. So that should be a red flag to you that you are actually in the driver's seat for this game. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, because otherwise they would be doing it to you up here. But instead they're on the defensive. So when you have a lead like this, it means that if you die, if in an even trade, it's actually a big disadvantage to you. And I don't think I need to explain that to you. But try to be cognizant of that because this death... The only reason this fight went well for you guys is because you had the big lead. When you leaped in and died like that without the lead, this could have been very bad. And for some reason, your Lion's jungling. So I didn't even notice that. This guy's not even here. So this is a 9-player team fight. You're dead. And the only reason this was not a disaster is because you had a big lead. If this were an even game and this happened, suddenly they have a huge advantage. And I don't know that you can win the game anymore. Because playing from behind against their lineup would be very hard. Clinks is going to be killing you all over the map. Gyro is free farming. Sand King is pressuring your towers and you have no way to kill him. The Venomancer is pressuring your towers. You can't really kill him either. So this fight ended up looking pretty good. But again, that was only due to the lead. It was not a very good fight. So okay, just thought we'd talk about that. Let's see. Next note's at 27:30, so we're really gonna jump
So
here.
probably at the bottom fight, once Sand King just jumped away, should we have kept chasing him, or should we just have let him alone?
I think chasing him is fine. Does he? You kill him
Not with
here,
the
right?
remnant, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was the Veno you chased, not the Sand King, and
Yeah, sorry.
yeah, and it's just don't use the last remnant. You know, if you had 2 remnants, I think it's okay. But again, you didn't need to do it at all because your spells were already off cooldown. So just get a feel for how quickly your chains come off cooldown because it's very fast, and you don't need to remnant most of the time. Sometimes you do, but once you initially close that gap, usually just by running and using drums if you need to, you will not need to remnant again to chase any further. Even with Gale on you, you were still fast enough that you could get him again. You know what I mean? So that's just going to come, I think, with a little bit more experience, and you'll probably do that one more time, and you'll be really mad about it, and that'll be the last time you make that mistake. Okay, so this Rosh attempt, pretty ballsy. Undying's dead, so I guess it's not so bad. But we talked about their lineup is very strong when it's fighting in one spot. This is the perfect place for them to fight. Maybe with Undying dead, you felt safe doing it. You actually have amazing vision here, so this is probably also why you guys felt safe doing it.
Yeah, we just call there that we want to get 1 pick off in the triangle with the vision we have, and then goes directly to Roche.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
our plan.
That's fine. You have the remnant down, you TP'd away to push, that's great play. You're back for the fight. Okay, good. Let's slow down. So Veno ults you.
Not have forked up there.
Yeah, going uphill is kind of hard, but here's the other thing. So right now I would be thinking, okay, my BKB's out. Now Veno, I'm dying to Veno. Is there any way without a TP that you can possibly survive this? Think about it. What could you do to maximize your HP right now?
To maximize my HP, bottle in between, Slider Fist, a creep camp, and get Glimmer Caped.
You hit one of the things I'm worried about. Yeah, you could bottle, but it's not going to do much because your healing's reduced and it's in between ticks, so it's going to give you like 20 life. Whatever. You could toggle your Vambrace to strength. That's one thing you could do.
Yeah.
And like you said, you could slight things. So you could slight here at this moment and hit all these creeps and clinks, and that's going to be like a second of not taking damage. But you didn't slide at all, and then you keep going mid. You should know the creep wave at 40 seconds. You even have a ward. The creep wave's coming. So you could slight once here, slide again here. Maybe you're fearing the clinks. I'm not sure, but you're dead anyway.
At this point, I will just panic because I got the ult of Venner and I thought, yeah, I'm fine. And suddenly I saw, wait, what? I also have a poison sting? Where does that come from? And then I panicked.
Yeah, and the poison sting came from the serpent ward. There was a ward up here, and yeah, there it is. That hit you. So I just thought I would talk about that as using slight as a way to survive just by not being available to get hit. And I know you know that, but you had an opportunity there. You could have actually slided twice.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have mattered. Again, Clinks was there. He's probably going to kill you. Whatever. I just thought it was worth talking about. This next team fight, I think, was the point in the game where you guys lost. So, okay, you're looking to fight. It's 29:30. Okay, so here's the initiation. Let's think about it. What is the next objective in the game?
Wait, at that point, the mid tower was gone, right?
Right. So at 29
would have
minutes...
been to get back into their triangle and cut mid and top wave until we get both towers.
In the grand scheme of things, yes, that's where you want to play. But at exactly 30 minutes... what matters?
Then getting the bottom outpost.
The outpost and the bounty runes. So, with that in mind, taking a fight here, even if the fight goes well, you are not going to get this outpost. You will get the bounties, but you will not get the outpost. This is the most important thing every 10 minutes. So, because of that, this fight is bad no matter what happens. Because you're here, you're ready to fight. You guys are... that's good. You should be grouped up at this time. But you should be taking it here. Here, there's nothing here. The tower's already gone. Again, you're fighting uphill into all their shit. and this is the absolute worst way for you to take a fight. So now that I said that, watch what happens. You're Galed, stun comes in, tomb's dropped, wards are down. You guys have to kill the tomb. Sven pops ult, tomb gets healed. Sven ult on this tomb is fucking irrelevant. It doesn't matter. He's dead. He didn't do anything. Aegis comes, but he already ulted. He already BKB'd. So his respawn is bad. Like, he's useless on respawn. No ult, no BKB. Plague wards are still down. Yeah, he got the tomb, but this was all due to going uphill into their lineup. That's exactly how they want to fight. And again, even if it was a good fight for you, you're not where the objective is. So they're going to get this XP. And if you recall, your lead, it wasn't so much net worth, it was XP. Look at this XP. You were 15k ahead. That's going down now because of the fights, and they're going to get an outpost, despite the fact that you guys should be dominating this map. So I think this was actually the point where the game got basically, you no longer can you win the game, now they can lose the game. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at, like, after this fight gets lost, I don't think it's up to you guys to win the game anymore. Now it's up to them to throw the game. It's like you can see, so the Sanky comes in, Sven's dead. You're probably like, okay, what the fuck do I do now? So you just leave, you're like, okay. Yeah, so it ends up being, that was your Aegis fight. So you lost the Aegis fight badly, no objective, and I just thought that was worth talking about. And that was all due to not thinking about what is the objective at this time. That's where we should be fighting. And if you were there, they're coming up into you, and that's a much better fight than you going up into them. So even if they wanted to fight you, again, they're strong in one spot. I think this fight would have gone way better because they're walking up into you on this hill, and you guys are like spread out through here taking their outpost instead of you going up into them. It's a way different fight. So that to me was the absolute critical point. You ended up losing mid-racks from this fight. You fought in the way that they are strongest, and you fought away from the objective. So, and it would be the same if you were trying to push their high ground. You basically can't ever push them if they're alive. Like, there's no way you can go high ground against their team. So this game is all about you guys leveraging your mobility and forcing them to split up and split pushing the map. That I think that's the only way you can win this game without a gigantic lead, which you had, but you lost. So now you're back to a more contemporary form of this game, which would be split pushing, spreading them out, using your vision in your mobility. I think that's what needed to happen. So, only other thing that I thought was kind of funny, they got really confident because they're far ahead, so then they tried to push you. And you can really see the point driven home here. So when they push you guys, speed up a little bit. Question mark.
Sven was AFK there for a few seconds.
Okay. So we talked about their lineup being so strong when you are fighting into them. Well, look what happens when they try to push your high ground and they're fighting into you. Go a little bit faster here. Got the double Yules. Did not double Laguna Blade. This Lina fucked up bad. But anyway, point stands. They can't really hold their ground and fight here. They had to run because they're going up into you. And then look how the fight goes, even though they're ahead. You team wipe them. So that's all about understanding what makes them strong and making sure you do not give them the situation to use that strength. In this case, they fucked themselves. They should not have done this. But the damage is already done mid, so I don't want to say it doesn't matter because it does, but they need to do that again for you to be back in this game. The one time is not enough, especially because your hard carry died. You know, maybe if he didn't die, maybe that would have been enough to tip you back into the game. But, you know, the game's already kind of, it's not lost yet, but it's very hard at this point. But it just goes to show you, it's the absolute opposite of what you guys did. Now, they have a big lead, and they were confident, so they took a fight that did not utilize their strengths, and they got team wiped for it. It's literally the exact inverse of what you just did like 8 minutes ago. So I hope that really drives the lesson home, that it really does not matter, in a way, how big your lead is, unless it's like excessively huge. The rules of the game still apply. The difference is that if you do the conservative, correct plays and you're at where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, your lead will carry you through the game just because you're in the right place at the right time. You don't even have to make big plays. It's actually all about positioning and control of the map.
Mm.
Make sense?
Yeah.
I don't
Totally.
I don't care if you're playing against EG. If you're up by, 5k and you're at the objectives and they're not, you're going to beat them. It doesn't matter that they're all way better than you individually. You know what I mean? Obviously that's like a pretty excessive example, but the point stands. The point is EG would never let you get in that position, So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that is pretty much all I had for the game. We're 45 minutes in, but it's fine with me. I just thought there was a lot of very good lessons in this game because, as typical, you did good in the lane, but you could have done better, and it was because of the items this time that prevented you from being more aggressive. So I don't know if you would have played right with the bottle, but I can tell you that you didn't even have the chance because you didn't itemize right. Your item build, again, I think it was okay. I don't like the BKB so much. I understand why you got it, but that's why I think like Manta would have been better because now at this stage in the game, what matters more? Some time of spell invulnerability or armor and a dispel? Because armor is what you get from Manta. I mean, what's their damage now? It's Clinks and it's Gyro, and like, yeah, there's some relevant Veno damage, but it's only his ultimate, and that can be mitigated with Glimmer. You have a pipe on Lion. You have
The BKB was just because of the Sand King stun.
Yeah, but you can play around that. Basically, if you're really concerned about that, you want to do soft initiations where you just slight and chain somebody, and then you hang back and you don't commit until Sand King commits. It's the same if they have like a Doombringer and you're a really relevant hero that cannot get Dooms. What it means is you are not allowed to join the fight with a full commitment until Doom shows himself. Same if you're Rubik and they have Enigma, same concept. Whoever goes first loses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's all about like the patience and the willpower to not go until you know it's safe. So I understand the BKB. It's not a bad item. I don't think there's ever a game where BKB's bad. It's just it messes up your scaling, especially because you got it so early. And again, the way you win this game is not by like ramming up their high ground. It's by splitting the map and killing them. And Manta is a great item to do that. You can push with images, you get more move speed, you have the dispel, you get more damage, you get more armor. I think that was the better item. Another small thing, Sven has the Orb of Destruction. That should be on you. 100% that should be on you. Because you hit everybody with Slight, right? He's not going to...
Yeah.
He only orbs his primary target. He cleaves, sure, but the cleave doesn't get the orb on other people. So you should have the orb. And then, I don't know if you have it yet.
We have Titan Sliver, but it was on Lena.
Yeah.
I wanted that so badly.
Yeah, the sliver should be on Sven. 100%.
Okay.
He should have the sliver. I don't know why he has the enchanted quiver. That's what Lena should have. That's really weird. And then you should have this. So overall, the items were not properly divvied out. Net. One of your supports should probably have the net. Lion Grove Bow. Dude, if I were the Lion, I'd rather have the Faded Brooch than the Grove Bow. So
yeah, the Grove Bow and Lena for killing the Tombstone.
Yeah, or even the quiver I think is better, but yeah, Lena could have played that way. And that's actually a great point. She could have taken that Grove Bow, gone Dragonlance, and solved this Tombstone problem. So Tomb gets dropped, Sven doesn't commit till after the Tomb, Lena kills the Tomb, because again, they cannot run into you. The only way they win is you go into them. So that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Lena, that was her job this game. She has attack speed, she has range, she kills the Tomb. Once the Tomb is down, maybe you can go into them and commit, but you definitely can't do it into the Tomb, into the Serpent Wards, into the Klink's skeleton. It's just not going to happen. Call down, flak, it's never going to happen. So I think if you can think about what makes them strong, you could have figured that out, and then knowing that, you would understand BKB is not going to help me. It's just not going to solve the fundamental problem that we have to split them up and we cannot take a 5-on-5 going into them. So BKB is just not the solution. Make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's what I got for you. Any other questions or any other thoughts after all that?
Not so far. That's great. That's quite enlightening at many points. The thing is that often, like, when I watch some pro matches and hear what the analysts are talking about, which is kind of the same situation when you are talking about now how the game goes, then I'm thinking of, yeah, like, I can see that. That's understandable. But when it's in the game and I have like 20 seconds to draft and then I really start last hitting, I stop thinking about how the game goes and how the fights should go.
Yeah,
I just stop thinking about that because I feel like I have no time for that.
yeah, you in a
That's
funny way, you
something.
have to make time for it. And
Yeah.
obviously, like, the more you play, the quicker you can make these decisions. But
Like when hitting a creep camp, thinking about something like that.
yeah, so, or, you know, you push out mid, you have your bottle, because you should have been thinking about getting the bottle, like, before the first waves even hit, because you knew it would be Klink's. So when you make the decision, okay, I need to block my wave, because if it's on his hill, I instantly lose the lane. Like, automatically you lose the lane. So if you're thinking like that, then you probably also think, you know what else? Klink's can't push. So if I push into him, bottle is incredibly good. And you already understood that your job in this game was to set the pace. So all things point towards getting the bottle. And that's your time to think about it. And then once you're going, you push, you're on your way to get a rune, that's when you can think the next thing. Like, okay, what's my next item? Where should I be ganking? That little time walking to the rune, that's your time to make that decision. And then as you get better, your hard supports should be making these like big brain, like overall picture decisions. And that's what I do as a player. You know, I'm the guy telling you, hey guys, bounty runes in 20 seconds, push right now. Hey guys, we need to make a move towards this outpost. Like, you can do that, of course. But as you said, you have a lot of other things that are preoccupying your thoughts. So as you get better, I would hope that your supports get better too, and that they're going to help take some of that burden off of you.
Yeah, and in that case, the Grim is quite new to Dota also, so he won't take care of that.
Yeah, and you know, that's fine. It's just, you know, as skill goes up, so does this decision making. But yeah, I agree. Very insightful. There's a lot to learn from this one game. And I highly recommend you watch this replay that I'll upload for you and think about, you know, all these lessons. And BSJ talks about taking one step at a time, right? So take like one thing I talked about, and for your next 20 games, that's all you think about, because then it's like hard coded into your brain and you never have to think about it again. It's just a habit. So then you go to the next chunk that I talked about, and that's your next focus. You can do that, or you can think about everything and like slowly progress it all. It's up to you. I think both are viable ways of learning. Kind of depends on the person. I like to have more than just one thing to think about. It's tough for me to like monomaniacally just obsess about the one thing. But you know, sometimes that's what you need to do. So
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah, right now I'm also just set up like a hero pool and starting to learn those heroes mechanically.
yeah, and I think overall with Ember, he did pretty good. It's just managing your remnants was like the main problem. Your skill build was kind of a problem too. And I even noticed in lane, there was a couple times where you slided to dodge a Klink's attack, and I'm pretty sure that was not an accident.
Yes.
So,
No, was not.
yeah, so you're already aware of that. So that's good. But yeah, I think those are the big takeaways. So, anyways, kids are getting unruly. I got to wrap it up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, wife's hangry. She's right. Lunch is late. So, cool. Well, I will get this uploaded. Do you want it to be a private video, or do you mind if I make it public?
You can make it public. That's fine to me.
Okay. So I will get that done. Probably today. I'll link you to it when I'm done with it. But yeah,
No hurry.
appreciate it. And
Okay.
thanks for reminding me at the time. I totally forgot. So I'm glad I wrote it
Oh,
down.
no problem. I probably get another hour soonish, I guess.
Yep. Focus on what you learned today. Take like a week on it, and then when you feel like you're ready, I don't plan on going anywhere, so no pressure.
Because I'm really starting to enjoy playing mid lane.
That's good, and I think you're doing well there. This same game with you making better rotations, which again all on the bottle. I think this game's a win for sure.
This is what I struggle the most. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
and-
just as a side note, the one game which would have looked into with you there, I had this very same problem that I played Kunkka, hit level 6. I had a Medusa against me in mid. I tried to combo her. She didn't die. I asked my position Forsus to come there. We tried it again. He didn't die, and then I just started rotating.
Yeah, and
It's like try and error.
Deuce is like a very hard kill, even early game.
Yeah.
It's better to just pretend like she doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Even later in the game, that's still the case. You kill her last, generally speaking. She's a very tough kill, but she's not really doing a lot of damage unless you're trying to kill her, and then she enables her team. So it's like a sneaky carry in a way. But
Yeah.
all right. So
All right.
if you want, you can save those. Either way. Appreciate
Have a
it.
good one.
Yeah.
Thank you
You
very
too.
much.
Thanks for reaching out.
Bye bye.
See you.